Well, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, lords and ladies, and welcome to part 1 of our Crusader Kings 2, a Game of Thrones Let's Play. I cannot express in words how excited I am to be bringing you guys this Let's Play finally for Crusader Kings 2. Now that I've finished Victoria 2, A House Divided, and March of the Eagles, as I said before, I lost, so we're not finishing that up, but I still finished it nonetheless. Now that those are done, I found that I actually have a completely open schedule to play whatever games I want. And I have decided I want to go back to my roots and make a return back to the Crusader Kings 2 universe. Now, I was going to play Game of Thrones originally when we did the Pendragon Chronicles, but I didn't want to at the time because the mod was not complete enough. But now I feel that it is complete enough to the point where I can play a full-length Let's Play in this campaign and in this game and have a lot of fun out of it for myself and for you guys, my viewers. So this is a little bit of a precursor of information. This is a Game of Thrones for CK2 based on the Song of Ice and Fire book series and the TV show that you guys have seen on HBO. Pretty much everyone knows about this series, so I don't really need to talk about it too much. Before we get into the series, I'm just going to make a few preliminary notes about things that are going to need to happen when we have this Let's Play. Number one, there is a big contrast because there are a lot of people who have read the books, like myself, have read up to Dance of Dragons, and there are a lot of people who haven't read the books and only watched the HBO TV show, so thus they've only seen up to about A Clash of Kings in the book series. So I have to ask guys, those of you guys who have read the books, or you know what occurs after A Clash of Kings, please do not post spoilers in the chat of the books and things like that, so don't talk about anything past A Clash of Kings. It's a main request I have for you guys, and please, if you would just do me the favor of honoring that, I'd be most appreciative of that. So, besides that, I think that's it. So, we're going to be starting off. We've got a number of starting dates here. We've got the Seven Kingdoms, which is when the Seven Kingdoms were just founded. No one will really know any of these characters because none of them really exist, are really spoken about very much. But we're going to be starting out at the, we're going to start out at the Greyjoy Rebellion. Yes. Okay. So that's where we're going to start out today. We're going to start at the We're going to start out at Robert's Rebellion. So for some of you guys, for the people who have only have only watched the TV show, just as a precursor thing, Robert's Rebellion is Robert the First, or King Robert, as he is in the TV show and the books. It's the Eddard Stark, and Lord John of the Vale, and also Lord Hoster Tully's rebellion against the Targaryens. So right now the Targaryens are still ruling the Iron Throne. We've got King Aerys the Mad and his son, Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, the Reach and the Dornish against the Westerlands, against the Stormlands, the Riverlands, the Vale, and the North, ruled by Eddard Stark. The war is going on right now because the King Aerys the Mad just executed Eddard Stark's brother and father. So war has been declared, and this is kind of the War of the Usurper, which in the books this is what got Robert on the throne. So that's where we're going to be starting out today. The Targaryens could win this potentially, since they do have a fair amount of support, and at the beginning of this the Westerlands actually do not start at war, so if they join the side of the Iron Throne, that could tip the balance in the favor of the Iron Throne, but we'll see. So we're going to be starting out at that. Now, I had a hard time deciding on what I wanted to play. I was thinking at first I would play a really big nation, like I'd play one of the Seven Kingdoms, so the Reach. I was kind of thinking about the Stormlands, playing as Paramount Robert the First. But I've decided that since Westeros is so much smaller than the, since Westeros is so much smaller than Europe, obviously, and CK2 Europe is much larger, and we can kind of get away with playing as a large kingdom and still have a lot of fun and still have a pretty lengthy campaign, I'm going to be going with a very small nation. That's how this is going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go play as a lord, a single count, and we're going to be doing that. Now, I was looking through the different counts, and I found some pretty interesting ones, and for those of you guys who have seen my Game of Thrones RPG Let's Play with Alistair Sarwyck and Mors Westford, I have a treat for you all. I have found that River Spring and the Lord Sarwyck actually does exist. So we're going to be playing this campaign as the Sarwicks. Their family words, so their house words are family is everything, I believe. I'll put that in the chat later. And we're going to be starting off today as a count or a lord in this. Basically, how this is organized is that we have lords. These are the counts of the CK2 original. The dukes in this are called high lords, and then the kings are called lord paramounts. So that's pretty much how that works. So we're going to be playing as Lord Reynold Sarwyck of River Spring. His son Alistair Sarwyck is already born, and he is our heir. We are a vassal of the Lannisters, and yeah, besides that, I think that's pretty much it. We'll talk about a little bit more of the mod when we get in. I'm going to talk about the features of the mod once we get into the actual game itself, and I'll also talk about how this Let's Play is going to go. This is a little bit of a precursor look of what's going to be happening. We're not going to be doing too much in this Let's Play section, because I kind of just want to introduce people to the mod before we get started. So, without further ado, I'm going to shut up, and let's get into the Game of Thrones. Okay, so right off the bat, as you guys could notice, this game adds a lot of new features to Crusader Kings 2. It actually takes out some features too. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I just want to take a few minutes here to talk about what the Crusader Kings 2 Game of Thrones mod adds and what it gets rid of. So obviously the first thing you may have noticed is that it adds custom music. The game maker of this mod has gotten a very nice musician to make a lot of nice custom music for the Game of Thrones mod, so we'll be seeing a lot of that in the future. Now, as you guys know, I'm a sucker for great music and good instrumental music, so that's going to make this that much more entertaining for me. Obviously, it changes the realm, the map, into Westeros. We have all the correct rulers that we see at this time. We've got Tywin Lannister ruling Casterly Rock. In the Westerlands, we have Lord Jon Arryn. We have Eddard Stark, things like that. Now, one thing I will say, guys, is that right now, since Eddard Stark and Catelyn Tully have not had their first children yet, one of the things you guys will notice is that sometimes like historical characters, they'll name their children different things than what they are in the books and the TV show. So one of the things that's a negative about this is that we won't be going strictly by the book, so this is going to be a little bit of a mix-up, so just don't be alarmed if, say, Eddard Stark has his first son and he doesn't name him Robb, and he doesn't have Jon Snow, because it actually may not happen. It just really depends on what goes on, because it's still Crusader Kings 2 and it's a video game and it's randomized. So yeah. Okay, so how this game is going to be played out is that we're going to be playing I was considering playing a hardcore roleplay, and I was considering role-playing my character, basically playing the way how this would be determined is that I'd play based on my character's traits. So say like Lord Reynold of Wiverspring, say he was content. If he was content, I wouldn't be ambitious and I wouldn't try to actually attack and try to claim new lands for my family. But since he's not, since we're not going to be playing like that, we're just going to be trying to expand and do what I really want. So my goal in this campaign, which I'm going to outline right now, is to at least become the Lord of the Westerlands. I want to become replace the Lannisters as the ruling family of the Westerlands. So that's what my goal is, and then we're going to be going that piece by piece. First, I'm going to need to take over Payne Hall and usurp House Payne from my territory, and we'll need to take over the High Lordship of the Gold Road, and then we'll kind of move on from there. So my goal is to take over the Westerlands, and then, if time permits, the Iron Throne eventually. That's my ultimate goal. I want to get the House Sarwick on the Iron Throne. That's my wish. So that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so that's my goals. Let's continue going over what this mod changes. So we'll start with the Council screen first. This is the biggest thing. So the Council screen is completely rechanged. We've added and taken out a bunch of different counselors. So we now have a Castellan, which we'll see what he can do is he can actually oversee a province, making it so it gets more taxes, and the length of build material time actually will drop. It can improve the defenses of an area, increasing the garrison size and the fort level. It can pacify a province, making it less likely to revolt, and also increases the amount of troops. We have my Master of Laws, which is the same thing as the Diplomat. It can fabricate claims, improve diplomatic relations. Master at Arms is the exact same thing as the Marshal in CK2, except that it has a thing where it can train your children and potentially improve their martial prowess, which is pretty cool. We have our Master of Coin, that's our Steward. We have our Master of Whispers, which is our Spy Master, and then we also have a Maester and a Septon. A Septon is like a priest, except all he can do is he can convert hostile religions to your religion. And then the Maester is like a counselor and a tutor to your children. You can try to make your children's learning much better and give them bonuses, which is pretty cool. Now, how you get a Maester is what we're going to be doing first. So we can see here, new important decisions. We actually have to send for a Maester from the Citadel. We pay a little bit of gold, and we send a letter to the Citadel saying, hey, I need a Maester, and they're going to send us one in a couple days. So that's pretty much how that works. Okay, now, the next thing I need to do, so we're going to do that, and let's take a look. So laws are exactly the same as in normal CK2. Right now we've got Agnatic, Cognatic, Gavelkind, which is perfectly fine, because we only have one territory. Technology has been completely removed, because this actually makes sense. Since we never see Westeros really technologically advance, the mod developer, smartly enough, has taken out technology in Westeros. And also, even though I have retainers, the Retainers mod, there are no retainers in this mod, so which is unfortunate, but even still, there's no retainers, we only use army levies. And then another thing is that the battles in this game are much bigger. than Crusader Kings 2. As a single as a single lord owning a single province, I alone can raise 1,200 men already, which, as you guys know, for people who've played normal CK2, that's a lot of men for a single province. Most of the time, if you only own a single province and you haven't upgraded it recently from the get-go, you can only raise like 200 to 300 men from it, but I can raise 1,200, and I don't even have a wooden palisade yet, so that's a lot of men. Okay. Intrigue, we have different plots. We can try to fabricate a claim on a duchy now, which is pretty cool, and then we can also buy other people's loyalty. So I can try to buy the Master of Coin and the Castellan's loyalty, which is pretty cool, so we get new decisions like that. Over in decisions, we can see the Kingsguard members. We can see right now all the current Kingsguard members. We've got Jaime Lannister, Barristan the Bold, Lord Commander Geralt the White Bull, we've got Arthur Dayne the Sword of Morning, things like that. We can see the people who own Valyrian Steel Blades, which we can actually get in due time. Valyrian Steel Blades are pretty cool. They give you a martial bonus and a monthly prestige bonus. We can see the owners of dragons, which you actually can have dragons in this, but just not right now. And then we can also force our children to train if we want. One of the cool things about this is that it adds in this added-in thing where it tells you how skilled of a fighter you are. This was in Prince and the Thane, but CK2 takes it to a whole new level, to where if you're martial, like we had that thing where we can have our martial train our children in martial prowess, and with things like that, and also we can have our lord try to force our children to train in martial prowess, and potentially we can make our guys really skilled in fighting, which will give them bonus to prestige, martial prowess, and health, which is pretty cool. I think besides that, there's a lot of other things. There's new events, decisions, things like that, and there's going to be a lot of other stuff as things go on. When we have children actually mature at the age of 14, so Irina is actually going to be of age to marry at age 14, so in 3 years, as opposed to the normal age of 16 in CK2. And also, when you tutor your children, at age 9, you actually had to pay a certain amount of money based on what you want them to be tutored in. So when Gawain next year actually gets tutored, what's going to happen is that we'll get a screen that's going to say we can educate him at court, making him good with like intrigue, politics, so diplomacy and things like that, and that'll give him a buff to diplomacy learning and intrigue. I can make him good with numbers, which will make him a good steward, or I can make him good with military command, which is good with martial. And if you don't educate your children, which actually is really expensive, what will happen is that your children will actually, no matter if, even if your children are actually being tutored by a guardian, they'll still get the uneducated trait, and they will be awful. Because as you guys know, uneducated gives you like a -5 penalty to like all of your stats, which is awful. So, alright, so I'm done rambling. I think that's pretty much everything in the beginning of this mod. I do want to start off today and see how far we can get with the Iron Throne. I do want to see how far we can get with the War of the Usurpers. So, this was a little bit of a precursor look, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this introduction to the campaign. Join me next time for the actual part 1, where we are going to start out with the War of the Usurper. Thanks for watching, guys. See you all again later.